Hello, everyone. Welcome to Carla's channel, Heart to Heart Inspiration. I am your host, Carla J. of Heart to Heart Inspiration, and this is Sunday, January 26, 2025. And just want to give a shout out to my husband for his birthday today. Happy birthday. So, today, I hope everyone is having a great day. On the podcast today, I am talking about mass shootings. Today's episode is entitled Triggered: Untangling the Crisis of Gun Violence in America. And this is something that is just happening more and more. And I don't even think we hear about all of the mass shootings that are happening. I don't even think we're hearing about all of them. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because the one of the latest ones that I'm aware of that happened close to home to me for a friend of mine was on January 22nd this past week, and it was a tragic shooting that occurred at Antioch High School in Nashville, Tennessee. A 17-year-old student, Solomon Henderson, opened fire in the school cafeteria, resulting in the death of a 16-year-old Jocelyn Correa Escalante and injuring another student. And then he fatally shot himself. And that just, all of the mass shootings, no matter where they all are just so sad. And it really causes me a lot of pain, even if I don't even know them, because these are people's lives. These are people just minding their business, everyday life, and something like this just erupts. I don't know about you all, but it just makes me, really being honest, just having some type of fear, fear of going to the grocery store, fear of going to the movies. I don't know about you all, but this greatly affects me. And if it does for you, go ahead and write something in the chat, in the comments. Write how are you feeling about it? And this is not an episode about politics. It's not about that. It's not about Democrat versus Republican laws and things like that. It's not that at all. And I just want to make that clear. So thank you, Deborah, for saying good evening, Heart Nation. The Heart Nation is alive and well. Good evening, Doris. So good to see you in the chat today. So one of my friends, childhood friends, this was her son's school. And she posted that the fear that she had when she got the call from the school. Let me back up. The fear that she got from her son when she heard from him and saying, we're on lockdown. There's a shooting going on in the school. That is like gripping. I remember being on a work call maybe 2 years ago, and one of my peers stated that she had to go because she just got a call from the school. There was a school shooting. There was someone in the school shooting. And so that fear just grips you. Good evening, Jay Lindsay. So good to have you on. And so my friend talked about how she felt and, asked all of us to keep the school and the people who unfortunately passed away in our prayers and things like that. So thank you all again for joining Heart Nation. So good to see you. Tell me, what are your thoughts about it? What are you feeling about these mass shootings? Do you think it is really a matter of mental health that's just really the problem, or is there something else? I'm open to the feedback, and I want to talk about it. So that shooting that happened last week at Antioch High School in Nashville, Tennessee, I don't know if some of you all know, but the incident was partially live streamed on a platform called Kick, which has since removed its footage. And investigation is still ongoing, but what I've read so far is that the young man had posted these ominous messages on social media prior to the shooting, and you hear that time and time again, that sometime, there is some type of post, about when they go back and look at it. So my question to you all, asking you, what are your thoughts about these mass shootings? Do you know anyone that has been involved in a mass shooting? I believe I have another friend of mine who she said her grandmother or an auntie or someone in her family was involved and killed in the mass shooting that happened in Buffalo, New York last year. And so she had a family member that happened to. Jay Lindsay says mental health, poor gun control, and irresponsible parents, and how they handle the firearms in their homes. Thank you for that comment. I would say I just saw a court TV case where a young man was involved in a school shooting, and they had the parents on trial. And it was stated that his book bag was taken. He had wrote some type of note, I believe, and the people in the school, I forgot who, but they saw the note and they sent him home or something like that, or told his mom or parents to come get him. But no one ever checked his book bag. So that note was enough for them to say he can't be here, or, you all need to come get him. But no one ever checked his book bag. And so I just want to put a pin right there. And I do believe that the mother, I don't know if she's still on trial or if she was convicted. I don't know. I have to ask you all in the audience if you've heard of that trial and what happened with that. Because there may be some court TV watchers on the line here. But, no one ever checked his book bag. And so what I'm asking is it time now for us to have detectors, metal detectors in every school now? Now, I'm going to say this. In some of our schools that are the majority minority high schools in Chicago, a lot of them are or do have metal detectors. But when you go to some of the other schools, they don't have metal detectors. And it seems like the parents and the schools fight against that. I don't know if this school had metal detectors or not. I don't know. I'm just stating something that I've had experience with the metal detectors being in predominantly minority schools in Chicago versus some of the ones that I have visited that are majority white. So, or non-minority. So just something to think about. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think all schools, high schools, grammar schools, I don't know how far we extend this to, should they have metal detectors? By the same token, colleges, don't really have metal detectors probably, right? Because there's so many campuses, there's so many different schools on the campus where you can get into in different interests. So I don't know. What are your thoughts about that? Deborah says both parents were convicted and are serving time. Thank you, Deborah, for that. I knew I had some court TV watchers on here. So those types of things, it seems like it's happening every day. So what are your thoughts? You think high schools, grammar schools should have metal detectors? How are you feeling about that? Seeing that there may be a lot of parents that are serving time or are away. We have a lot of single parenting going on. I don't know. Do you think parents should be held responsible? I know I have a lot of questions going on, right? But just feel free to chime in on any of those questions. If you think parents should be held accountable for underage children involved in these mass shootings, do you think schools, high schools, and grammar schools should have metal detectors? What are your thoughts on that? And have you personally had someone affected by a mass shooting? Whether it's a friend or a friend of a friend, family member, anything like that. Let me know. Put your comments in the chat. So year to date, just to give you some statistics, year to date, as of January 26, 2025, there have been at least 24 mass shootings in the U.S. Now, I haven't heard about 24 myself since January, but that's what I was saying before. We haven't heard about all of them. There's so many more that's going on. Shanice said, yes, parents should be held accountable. There are always signs. Wow. Wow, Shanice, thank you for that comment. I don't know if there's always signs. What do you think, What do you think, audience? Do you think there's always some signs? Jay Lindsay says parents should be held responsible for minors gaining access to their guns. Now, that's a very interesting statement, too. And I know there's a lot of controversy around these things. I believe it's in the state of California that they put in a law maybe 2 years ago that all firearms in the home have to be locked in a safe box or something like that. And that if there's an incident or something like that where the police ever get involved and it's found that you did not have those firearms locked, I do believe there's some type of punishment by law for those, if that happens, if that's discovered. And, Deborah says, I think, yes, there's always signs. So you all put in the chat, what kind of signs you think there may be? I know for that case I was talking about where the parents were put on the stand and were charged and held accountable, that they had taken him to a psychiatrist before, things like that. I don't remember all the details of it, but it certainly seems like there was something, I don't know. But I also put some of the onus on the school as well. What do you all think about that? They never checked the young man's book bag. Now, if you think he's troubled, to me, the first thing we should be thinking about is, do they have a gun? Do they have a firearm? What is their mental state? Are we looking at that? And I think schools should be held accountable too. Shanice says there's always signs, and sometimes parents are not attentive enough to their child. Could be depression, behavioral actions, etc., that a child shows. Plus, how else do children get access to guns? I think that's a very good point that you make, Shanice. I don't know. I don't have the statistics pulled up on that, but I would imagine that a lot of access to guns from minor children, underage children, is probably through their parents or a family member, something like that. I would assume. I haven't looked up the statistics on that. If someone has statistics on that, let us know. But 24 mass shootings since to date for this year. Oh my goodness. So some of the examples of what has happened is January 1st, a tragic incident in Kankakee, Illinois, left 2 people dead and 5 others injured during a New Year's Eve party. On January 22nd, a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles injured 6 individuals outside a restaurant. And then what happened in New Orleans? New Orleans for New Year's, the party where the man drove through and killed the people on Bourbon Street. Just so horrific. What is going on and what is it going to take? Now, a lot of people say gun reform. I think I did see that in the comments. What kind of gun reform is your idea of what you think should be done? Some people say that it's not guns that kill people, it's people that kill people with the guns. So there's a lot of debate and controversy over that. And I'm here for it today. I want us to talk about it. What are your ideas about that? Your thoughts? What is gun reform to you? What does that look like to you? I think there is so much going on in the minds of people today. The mental health crisis is like a pandemic, you can say. It's like a pandemic because people are angry. And I'm not trying to say anything political when I make this statement, but what I am saying is the climate in our world today, it seems like it's on steroids. Everything is, competition, or everything is my way or the highway. You do what I say. There's so much of that going on right now, all the way up. And it just seems like people have a platform today to just say and be mean. When I look at different comments on different media outlets, and it could be honestly about someone like this, someone in a platform talking about a death or something that has happened. And the comments are horrible. They really are horrible that I see. It's like you are very brave on social media to be saying all these things, but the comments that I see are horrible. I'll give you an example. I saw a post about someone on a motorcycle, and they were saying, I have kids to go home to, please watch the roads, be careful when you're driving, things like that. And it wasn't a finger pointing post or anything like that. And the comments that the people made, well, you should think about the kids that you have instead of zipping down the road on your motorcycle and things like that. And they were worse than that. They were like, you get what you get, things like that. Horrible. I just think today's society lacks compassion, empathy, and we're so mean. Jay Lindsay said background checks and waiting periods are needed. Firearm training should be required. I like that. There's so many different types of mass shootings, and things that are happening, and the firearm training and the background checks. What about those places where they can just go and buy firearms, right on the spot? I don't believe there's some background checks. Should that be mandatory everywhere? Can they mandate that? Is that something that can be mandated? What about serial numbers? Serial numbers, I've heard that argument come up before. Is there a way to do that? Doris says a strong background check before you can purchase the gun. It seems like I had a full one before I was able to get one. It seems like the people who have good intent are always the people who have to have the rigorous requirements. Okay, it's like someone stealing your identity, right? It's like what things are in place for them not to steal my identity. Yet when I go to the bank and try to cash a check, they ask me for 10 pieces of ID. So there's always that, right? So can it be enforced, background checks everywhere? Shanice says, I wish background checks and firearm training was regulated and strictly enforced. But like I said, there are places that allow you to purchase on the spot. There really is. I like the word firearm training that has come up a couple of times. And what do you think that would do, the firearm training? What impact do you think that would have if we had more regulated or better firearm training? What are your thoughts on that? Deborah says, nowadays, teenagers have a lot of privacy. They have their own phones, and parents may not really know what's going on with their teens. That's true as well. And I tell you, one way to try to elicit a response from your teenager, but be ready for the fight, though, is if you tell them you're going to take their phone away. I just also saw on, I don't know if it was Court TV or not, but I had seen and heard about a case where, I don't even think it was Court TV, where a young woman, her mother told her she was going to take her phone away, and she went to her boyfriend's house and they were keeping her there. And she wrote a letter about how she wanted to set her mother on fire and listen to her scream from her body burning. There's something very wrong with that picture. It's so much. To me, she needs to be locked up right now because she's a threat to society, thinking like that about her own mother because she didn't want her to be with this boyfriend of hers that was over her age. So a lot of mental health issues. Deborah says, Shanice says, but when things are enforced, people will always find ways around the system, just like abortion being banned. Illegal abortion becomes more dangerous. That's so true. That's a good point to think about. It's a delicate balance is what I hear you saying, Shanice. We have to be mindful of the delicate balance that enforcement versus illegal to what can happen after that. I totally get that. But it seemed like they found a delicate balance with marijuana. Marijuana is legal in many states now. Many states. But yet some it is not. So you have some states where people are still getting locked up for having marijuana. But in some states they can walk down the street smoking it. So where is that? And should it be a state to state requirement? Should it be something that is allowed to be regulated state to state, which can cause these divides as well? Carrying a gun may be legal in California, in LA, but in certain counties of LA, I heard it's illegal, or that law doesn't carry over to all parts of LA. So there's so many different things. One of the things that I seen that was, and gun violence, it happens on all fronts. You can say a lot of things. There's so many facets to the gun violence argument or discussion. I think about the no-knock warrants, okay, that happen. And I don't know if they happen in non-Black neighborhoods. I don't know. But the ones that I see on the news are always about them happening in Black neighborhoods. No-knock warrants. And they come in and they open fire on you or tell you to open up the door. You don't know who it is. You're asleep. And they have the right to just start shooting you, and you don't have the right to shoot back. You all know what I'm talking about. You all know the case that I'm talking about. Brianna and her boyfriend, he shot back. Well, I believe he's serving time for that. I believe he got found guilty, and they didn't charge the officers. And so our rights are stripped away. So he had a gun to protect his family. But are you thinking you're going to have to protect yourself from a no-knock warrant? It wasn't even the right house. But yet I'm seeing on the news that for people who are in the country, trying to defend their right to stay here, whether they're here as immigrants or not, legal or illegal, I don't know, that they don't have to comply, that no-knock warrants are not allowed for them. So I don't know. If you all know anything about that, put it in the chat. Inform me. I just get snippets of the news and I'm trying to relate. So what are your thoughts about that? Is that true what I'm saying? Have y'all heard about that? So it's a lot of different facets to the gun violence model. And Deborah says, I saw one high school in Wisconsin during hunting season. The teens go hunting prior to school and then come to school with their hunting bins in their cars. Deborah, I don't know what kind of school that was or what was the nationality or the diverse makeup of that school, but I'm assuming that if it was in a Black neighborhood, that they probably would go to jail, probably get arrested. I don't know. And if you think I sound racist or you think I sound biased, I'm speaking from my experiences as a Black woman, as a Black person. I'm speaking from my experiences. See, a lot of people who are not Black want to say that race, we're always thinking about race, but we are, because that's all I have to go off of are my experiences as a Black person. For my Black grandson, for my Black husband, for my Black friends, my Black daughters, the threat is always real to us. But then you have the inner turmoil as well. Violence, gun violence in communities, gun violence in Black communities, right? That gun violence in our communities, innocent people getting shot, killed, is horrible. It's horrible. And I don't know what is the solution. It's like you want to protect yourself, but then you have the people outside who don't have the same integrity that you have. And they make it horrible. They're shooting up their own community, little kids in our community, people in our community. So again, gun violence has many faces to it. And there's not one thing. But I do think mental health is the root of all of it. Poor mental health. Some people may argue, what is mental health? We throw that word around. What is mental health? Mental health is, to me, is your state of mind, and your state of mind can change for different incidents, different events. Your state of mind can change day to day, minute to minute, based on what's happening. You can be happy-go-lucky 1 minute, but the minute something happens, put yourself in this predicament. You're having a great day, everything's going well, but then you get a call. You get a call that there's been a drive-by shooting on your block, or your family's block, someone in your family. And now the investigation is showing that it was a particular gang. What are you going to do? What is your mental health? What is your state of mind at that moment? And what if you act on it? What about the school? And I believe it was El Paso, Texas. I might have the city wrong in Texas, where the gunman went in the school. The kids were hollering and screaming, calling their parents, and the police came to the school and told those parents to stay back. And some of them did just that, and their parents and their kids were killed. Their kids were killed because they complied with the police orders. Because from what I saw interviews, that the police was telling them they were going to arrest them if they tried to go in the school. Why are you trying to arrest me? Go in there and get him. So your state of mind can change at any moment. At any moment, you can snap and you can become the aggressor. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know if I could have stayed calm during that time. My child is in there. I'm hearing the screams. I'm hearing gunshots. But yet the police are out there telling you all to stay back. What do y'all think about that? State of mind can change at the snap of a finger. And what about, all types of things that happen? We used to make jokes, it's the postal workers, that can snap any moment. But it's anyone, anytime can snap any moment. And it's kind of hard to keep your head on a swivel all the time, trying to look around. It's scary. It's really scary. So Deborah said it was not a black school. She says, do you remember the shooting inside the church? I forgot which state it was in. I do remember a shooting in a church. And I do remember that a couple of people in that church did have guns. I believe one did end up getting shot and killed, who was a member of that church. But someone else in the church had a gun as well and was able to kill, I believe, that person who came in shooting up the church. So I do remember, but I don't know if that's the one you're talking about, Deborah. Let me know if that's the one that you're talking about as well. I do believe in gun rights. I believe that we all have the right to protect ourselves. Do I believe that I could ever use a gun? I don't know. I've had firearm training. It depends on the situation. I don't know if I have the mental capacity to do it at that time. And I guess it depends on the situation, right? Shanice says, scary situation to think about while I'm pregnant. I couldn't have stayed calm either. I more than likely would have went inside. Arrest me after I get my child. Yeah. It's so sad. My heart goes out to them. And Deborah said, yes, that's the one that she was speaking of. And so mental health, do I think that we have responsibility to our mental health? We do. But something is ingrained in some people that they just think that they're right, or they are entitled to take other people's lives. And I don't know what the solution is. I know I'm frustrated about it. I know it's sad. I feel, grief for those that have to go through it. My family has had gun violence and violence in the family as well due to guns, the use of guns. And I am totally all in for a solution. But I really don't think there is a solution. I don't really think there's a solution. I think that mental health differs from person to person. I do wish that we could all protect ourselves properly and be able to protect our families and ourselves. I do encourage women to, take self-defense training, get your firearm training properly and things like that. This is by no way, anything that is about death and killing people, anything like that. It's just about protection and safety. And I do wish our community stop having violence, the nonsense violence. I wish our community stop having that. I wish the mass shootings stop, because they're everywhere. Las Vegas, there was one. People just out enjoying a concert, and the man that was up in the high-rise hotel and just started shooting people. Horrible, just horrible. So I do think it's a platform where we have to talk about it. but also have respect and empathy about it as well. I don't believe it's a political party issue. I just think it's a person issue, a mental health issue. And my whole vision is, having the conversations. If you see the signs, do something, say something. Jay Lindsay said, I totally agree about self-defense class and firearm training. I took a self-defense class and sent my daughter. All right. I love that. I absolutely love that. I think it builds your confidence as well, and having that. So one of my goals is I do some lives during the week on health and fitness, health and wellness. And my goal is to have some self-defense training on live as well. As soon as I find an instructor willing to go on live and do the class for us, I will definitely set it up. So, Jay, Lindsay, if you know someone that does that class or be willing to come on, be my guest or talk to us, go on live with us, let me know. That'd be great. I would love to do that for our audience. And I encourage everyone to be safe out there and get that firearm training or the self-defense classes. Be aware, be astute. I heard on another show before people saying, I can't even imagine carrying a gun. So if you have that type of fear, or you just don't even want that moral responsibility on you, what about other type of guns? What about stun guns or something like that? I don't know. Tasers, I don't know. I don't know if they're legal in every state or something like that. But, just ways that you can empower yourself. This is all about empowerment and being responsive and aware to your surroundings, the environments, the culture, what's going on in the environment around you, and where you work and things like that, where your children are. Does your school have a plan? If there's a shooting, if something erupts in that school, does your school have a plan? And you're able to ask your schools that, the principals and things like that. Ask them, what is the plan? I remember seeing some schools, grammar schools, saying that they literally have had these drills with students beforehand. And the students know during the real time to be quiet, not to say a word. They know that they've practiced it. What do you think about that? Do you think that's something that schools should be doing? And if you have a child in grammar school or high school, or if you're a teacher, what are your thoughts on that? Are you all doing that? So many faces to this discussion, like we said earlier, and trying to prepare for the worst case scenario. My husband was also a victim of gun violence. He was carjacked right in front of our home. He was carjacked and he was shot. He was not killed, thank God for that. But he did experience that. He didn't have a gun on him. We didn't have guns in our home. So that was a totally very scary experience, and it can happen. It can happen to any one of us anywhere. Deborah says, yes, the drills are definitely needed, just like fire drills. And yes, thank God, Shanice. Thank God he is still alive today. And today is his birthday. So happy birthday to him. Well, we are coming up on the end of our time together. I really hope that everyone feels empowered, have some empathy, have some respect, some care. Look out for yourself and your family, self-defense classes, firearm training, to properly carry a weapon. I don't know, whatever is comfortable for you. By no way am I saying go out and do those things. Whatever is comfortable for you and your family, to protect yourselves legally, because we always want to try and stay within the law, right? We don't want to be said that we should have called the police and we didn't. We don't want it to be said that we were practicing vigilante style, revenge or anything like that. We don't want to be in the news that, someone came to our house and now we're going back to their house to retaliate or confront them. We want to do things the right way. And that's also state of mind. That's mental health. So before you take that next step. When you get angry, before you take a step that you might regret, just take some time to think about it. Take some time to reflect and say, wait a minute, is this the best course of action? Can I handle this differently? What are the consequences of my actions? Who will be there for my family? So those are some things to take into consideration, okay? Deborah says she visited a college and active shooter tips were posted on the wall. Oh, I like that. I know that many jobs are now also having active shooter, continuing education courses and things like that. So if you work in a college, a school, anything like that, are you taking those classes? Are they offering those courses to you all? What is being done to help you all prepare? And in your jobs, not just schools, and jobs as well. Can anybody just get through? Can anybody just come to the door? Do you have a line, a confidential line to call and report something? Those are things to think about. So as we wrap up, I just want to say thank you all. Thank you for your tips that you put in the chat, your comments that you put in the chat, and let's continue spreading the word about safety, being aware, getting what you need for your family and your loved ones to be safe, your state of mind, mental health, getting help if you need it. If you're so angry about something that has happened, getting your mental health together, your state of mind, okay, and things that you can do if you're not in favor of firearms. What else can you do to help protect yourself, okay? And what is your schools doing, your jobs doing, okay? And Shanice says, great chat today. And I think I had another message. Let me just see here. I want to make sure I get all the messages in. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I got the message, Jay Lindsay. Thank you. And I will definitely look into that. So again, I hope to have someone on the line going over self-defense or tips for safety, things like that. And in the meantime, till we meet again, you all be safe. Don't forget, this coming Tuesday, I'm going to start I'm starting mobility mornings, Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, mobility mornings. And it's not just going to be your usual stretch, okay? I'm going to put a little spice in it. So if you're up and you want to join in, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time for mobility mornings. That's what we're going to do. You all be safe. And don't forget to like and subscribe and follow my channel here on YouTube or Facebook, and share it with your friends as well. You all be safe. Bye, Heart Nation. Take care.